Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Dimes on Duval. My name is Mike Yazji, and I'm joined with Skylar Chase. Howdy. How are you doing? How's work going?
Work's going well. You know, Coastal's always thriving, especially with all this rain we've been getting recently.
Yeah, I believe it's been busy for y'all, especially I saw the other day you sent us a link on Twitter about someone pretty much shouting out Trackman. I know that's at Coastal Indoor.
Yeah, I think the Twitter account, Brodell Hagens.
Oh, yeah, Michael, yep.
He comes into Coastal. He's part of Jags United podcast, him and Jason Trent. And I'm drawing a blank on the other guy they work with, but coming to Coastal every now and then, they enjoy it. And then, yeah, it's always great chatting with them and always talk Jags with them as well while they're there.
Awesome. I'm glad you mentioned the Jags. We're going to jump right into it. So, everyone hopefully listened to our episode last week where we kind of previewed we gave predictions on the Jaguars-Titans game and also just briefly talked about the Jaguars-Colts game 2 weeks ago. So, Skylar, I want you to give you a recap or your thoughts on what happened this past Sunday against the Tennessee Titans up in Nashville where the Jaguars lost 33-30.
Tannehill was throwing the ball pretty well, and I think they obviously knew our game plan coming into the game was to stop Derrick Henry. And similar to how 2017, came along and in the playoffs, people were saying, we'll stop Fournette and let Bortles throw on us or whatever. And Bortles dominated in the playoffs, and, we'll be a Jaguars history legend forever because of how he performed here in the city. Besides Bortles, I'm getting off topic, but Tannehill, he basically kind of took advantage of that, and they did what they did, and we had the opportunity to win despite everything. I think one of the main things too was we gave the ball away as opposed to taking it away. The first interception tipped by Colin Johnson. I didn't see it live, but I saw a replay, and my understanding is it was intended for the tight end behind Colin Johnson. Colin Johnson being 6'6", probably can reach anything within a 12-mile radius, so he figured he'd go up and get it, but I don't know I'm not going to put that on anyone, but, we went down 14-0 and showed resiliency again like we did against the Colts, which I think is great. Even though there's no moral victories, obviously, we're still 1-1, and we could be 0-2, but we have a great opportunity to go 2-1 Thursday night. I think, they'll be a little bit cleaner in some of the things. One thing I'm excited about is the offense. Obviously, 30 points is pretty big for a Jaguars team as of recent in the past decade. And they've doing it. It seems like something they could do consistently. I didn't feel concerned about them moving the ball down. I think special teams was also one of the biggest issues this past week. That whatever kick by Lambo, I guess he slipped and maybe that started causing the injury. I'm not sure. And also just in terms of kick coverage, Tennessee had good returns anyways and other times. And it was an issue against Indianapolis. The opening kickoff from Indianapolis went a long way too. So special teams needs to tighten up on kick coverage. And then Walsh talked on it also. Defense needs to just get the other offense in 3rd and 6 and 3rd and 7 situations just so the pass rush can be taken advantage of. That's on Walsh at this point. He's got to create pressure other ways or create stops. But I think with Miami coming up, they don't get their offense rolling until late. I think.
Before you go into the Dolphins game, I want to recap just the Titans game, then we'll go jump in the Dolphins game. So my thoughts on the Titans, I wanted the Jaguars to stop the run and force Ryan Tannehill to beat us. And that's exactly what happened. We held the Titans to 123 yards rushing, which may seem like a lot, but it's really not. 34 carries, 3.6 yards a carry. It's okay.
If I can count to the number, it's not really that much.
Yeah, exactly. And Derrick Henry had 25 carries for 84 yards. I thought that was a pretty good day in terms of shutting him down. Now
that's I haven't looked back at his numbers, but that's got to be one of his lowest rushing games in the past 10 or so games. I know I heard a stat he has had within the past 10 games he has had 8 of 100 yards. So
yeah, and it doesn't surprise me because Derrick Henry is an absolute tank. Yeah. My concern with this defense, although I know the thing is I'm not too upset about how the defense plays because we asked for one thing and we did it. We kind of held Derrick Henry. And I made a joke to one of my friends the other day. If we hold Derrick Henry to under 125 yards rushing, we should probably win this game. And we were in a position to win this game this past week. That we were down 14-0, And I don't know about you, Skylar, but I was like, okay, this is kind of like last year, 2 years ago, where the brakes just fall off, everything implodes. Here we go again. But the team was resilient. We scored a touchdown 14-7, and then it became a ball game. And it got tied 30-30 going in late in the fourth. I thought it was really good by the defense. The special teams, like you said, was a concern. Lambo's missed extra point. Lambo's idea of a squib kick, which I don't know what happened there with Lambo. Maybe you're right. He did.
I believe he slipped, but I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
I don't know what happened, but either way, that was concerning. And honestly, that squib kick before the end of the half led to 3 points for the Titans before halftime. And ironically, the Jags lost by 3 points. So that could that could have determined the entire game. And also, this is the first time, I don't know about you, Skylar, but with the Jaguars, especially with Minshew at quarterback, this is the first time when we were going on that last drive with, I believe it was a minute 39 left in the game, or a minute 36 left in the game. I actually kind of felt okay. I wasn't too scared. I was not scared, but I wasn't worried that, oh, great, here we go. For example, Bortles going to throw a pick six, it's over, game over, blah, blah, blah. No, I actually felt somewhat confident with Gardner Minshew leading our offense down the field. He drove us down to the 45-yard line of ourselves. We were crossing midfield, and then Gardner Minshew threw a bad pass that was picked off at the line of scrimmage. That happens, but honestly, up until that pick, I actually thought we had a legitimate chance to not only tie the game, but win the game. And I'm very impressed with this offense through 2 games, putting up 30 points against the Titans, who we were a minute and a half away of beating the AFC champion runner-up from last year.
Yeah, that's another thing.
And
I would also like to make another point. The officiating.
Oh, I'm not even going to get started on the officiating, but that was terrible.
That Miles Jack call was...
I wasn't even that more upset about the Miles Jack call than about the Jadeveon Clowney offsides that was blatant. They didn't call it. And because of that no call, led to the interception on that same play.
Well, yeah, but also if Miles isn't called for interference, we get the ball back.
That's true, yeah. But I'm just saying, you know what, at least, okay, if they give us the Miles Jack...
They literally gave the Titans 3 extra points as well.
That's fair, but I'm just saying, in terms of the offsides, that could have kept the drive going. We could have gone for a touchdown. It could have been irrelevant. But
the fix was in.
It's just like the referees are another situation, but everyone knows the refs. The Jags get screwed by the refs multiple years in a row now. 2018 AFC Championship game. We're not going to go there. But the fact that the Jaguars came within 3 points and almost beating the AFC champion runner-ups, who everyone thought was going to blow the doors off the Jaguars after the possible fluke performance against the Colts in Week 1, I thought was pretty impressive by the Jaguars. And I was impressed with what they did on offense. Minshew, although he threw an early interception, didn't really lose his mentality. Okay, I'm going to still throw the ball. And James Robinson finally got going. He had over 100 yards in his second game. He had a rushing touchdown, his first career rushing touchdown. James Robinson had 16 carries for 102 yards. That's a 6.4 yard per carry average. Much better than Derrick Henry. And
I believe he's also leading all rookies in scrimmage yards.
I wouldn't be surprised with that, to be honest with you. And another thing, I did like how our Gardner Minshew is throwing the ball around. Everyone minus Bruce Miller got multiple targets on Sunday.
Yeah, James O'Shaughnessy mentioned it too. So Gardner connected with 10 receivers in Week 1, and he connected with 8 in Week 2. So the fact that he's already connecting that. And also, we have other pieces on offense who haven't come out yet because they're, healing completely from injury. Like DD Westbrook has a chance to make some plays. We got Raquel Armstead that might come back at some point, and Divine Ozigbo.
Mm-hmm.
These guys can also just be extra pieces that, we have enough different pieces that we can create different game plans for different opponents each week. And it's just crazy how many different weapons there are and how quick they are vibing. That's another thing is like this offense hasn't even fully started clicking yet. Like Laviska Shenault, he's getting involved quite a bit, but he's not as involved as he's going to be in the future. And it's going to be insane to see him start to producing at the quality he's going to be capable of just because he's such a massive and fast dude, and they get the ball in his hands everywhere.
Without a doubt. And adding those weapons will definitely help lessen the load on our other current weapons that we have. But I thought overall it was a good game. I know everyone's mad about how the game ended and whatnot, but this is the first team and first game I actually felt comfortable going in a last-second drive, game-winning drive of the quarterback. And there was only one negative, and that's the fact that Ryan Tannehill threw for 4 touchdowns, which probably will not happen in the rematch again.
No, I don't think so because I don't know when it's or when it is, but it's gonna be a little bit colder. It's gonna be down here. I guess.
Yeah, it'll be
so
down
it
here
won't
in
be
Jacksonville.
as
Let me pull
chilly,
up the
but
schedule, but you bring that up.
yeah, I don't think Tannehill will be able to produce that well. I think like in the next game, and obviously I think our defense. Obviously I can't predict the future, but I think bearing injuries, our defense will be able to produce better in the future.
Yeah, I agree. And by the way, the rematch, for anyone wondering, is week 14, December 13th, later this year, if everything goes according to plan for the NFL.
So there might be a chance it might be a little chilly.
Yeah.
Our offensive line's pretty good right now, and I expect them to continue to produce and then later on in the season be a stronger unit than most other offensive lines in the NFL.
One thing I did like, or I'm sorry, I did not like, is the fact that Chris Claybooks?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, another special teams issue. Chris Clay. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I think it's Clay
I'm pulling up his name exactly. I want to get it right. Yep, Chris Claybooks. He had 2
number
muffs.
27.
One turned. Luckily, both of them, he muffed 2 punts. Luckily, both of them were not turned over. Luckily, one of them went out of bounds, and the other one he recovered. But it just really upset me with the fact that Chris Claybooks fumbled 2 kickoffs. I'm sorry, kickoff and a punt return.
I think D.D. Westbrook will have that role once he's back in the
we'll see about that. But
he's very sure-handed. He's got experience returning punts. He's got a touchdown against Washington football team a couple years ago.
That's true. And Skylar, as we're talking, looks like we have a caller waiting on the line.
Uh-oh. Our phone is
his name is Keith. Keith, can you hear me?
Hi, yes. How are you?
Where are you calling from, Keith?
I'm calling from Jacksonville, Florida, actually. Same as you.
Welcome on, Keith. So we were just going over the Jags-Titans game. So if you want to give your review or thoughts on that game before we go into the game ball of the week, go on ahead.
I really think the game plan going into that game was to beat Derrick Henry.
Yep.
And Tannehill just beat us. So you can't really do anything about that. And we left the door open for him, and it just happened, and it sucks. But hey, you know what? We did everything we could in that front to stop Derrick Henry, and I'm happy with that. Too many silly penalties, false starts, stuff like that. Not a lot of rushes for losses for the Jaguars, which I thought was cool. You know, every rushing attempt to me, not every single one of them, but a lot of them seem to go for at least 3-4 yards each time, which is a good sign. James Robinson had a great game.
That's what happens when that's what happens when the guy running the ball is not named Lynch.
Here we go, going right back to my rant last week.
No, I was just making fun of the Big Bang Theory.
Yeah. Sure. Okay.
Well,
Leonard's such a nerdy name.
It is a pretty bad name. And the last thing is, I noticed they talked early in the broadcast. Andrew Catalon was calling the game, and James Lofton. They talked about tackling Derrick Henry, and one of the key things was getting low and getting to him early.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up, Keith. Go ahead. I'll let you finish your point.
I was going to say, I noticed because I was watching for that as I watched the game, and the biggest person I saw to really follow that to a T was C.J. Henderson.
Yep, C.J. Henderson impressed me with that.
Every time he cut his ankles out, and it was beautifully done. And
I'm going to admit, I thought C.J. Henderson could not really tackle because that was his number one issue coming out of college. And boy, did he bring down Derrick Henry like it was really nothing. Like, he did exactly what he needed to do, go low, and Derrick Henry tried stiff-arming him, and CJ still hung on to him and dragged him down by the ankles, which is literally what you need to do to bring down Derrick Henry.
Exactly.
And I love that about CJ Henderson. And through 2 games, he has impressed me.
Yeah, and Keith and I saw Derrick Henry from the sidelines, and that guy, I would, all bones in my body would break if I tried that.
Yeah. Derrick Henry, I remember seeing him in high school and being intimidated by his size. I couldn't imagine lining up on the other side of him.
I'll pass. I'll pass on that.
I think he ran for 370 yards against us or something like that.
Wouldn't surprise me. So going from that, speaking of 370 yards, usually that would earn a game ball. And last week, Keith introduced a segment of Game Ball of the Week. So it can be any athlete, any football player. It doesn't have to be a Jaguar. So Skylar, who earned your game ball of the week?
Oh, geez, put me on
I
the
mean, we can
spot.
go to Keith if you want.
No, I'll answer. It's fine. Let me just pander or something for a second. So the offense produced a lot. Minshew had a great game with the 339 yards and 3 touchdowns again. And the only issue, obviously, were the interceptions. But I think I was more impressed, or it was so exciting to see James Robinson produce. So if he gets my game ball this week, I hope to see more of that. And I mean, I expect to. It's reminiscent of MJD. I don't want to compare the two guys because they are both two different guys, and like James isn't quite as bulldozer pinball-y as MJD, not yet at least. I don't know, but the way he just bursts through the hole and kind of is patient with the ball, it's kind of like a combo of Fred Taylor and MJD, just being patient there, but then finding his hole and being a small compact back that can squeeze through the line and just create plays that aren't supposed to be there. But yeah, a touchdown of 19 yards, I believe, and then had another big run. So yeah, it was great to see.
That's good. And Keith, who earned your game ball of the week?
Robinson was definitely my runner-up, but I'm going to stick with the special teams. I'm going with Harrison Butker, the kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Nice.
Ooh, Chiefs. The Chiefs, excuse me.
Yeah, they're not cheap. They're loaded with money, and they're just champs.
Yeah. He kicked 3 field goals in their 23-20 overtime win over the Chargers, which to me was one of the greatest games of the week. And he kicked a 58-yard field goal, which is just amazing. And he hit a 53-yarder before a penalty, and then he hit the 58-yarder right after it.
I was going to say, because I saw he hit 2 50-yard field goals. I just didn't know the timing of them.
2 58 yards and a 30-yard.
Gotcha.
So I got to give respect to my special teams guys. They are near and dear to my heart. So, yeah, that's my choice. Who you got, Mike?
I stopped a little because Mike and I criticized the Jaguars special teams.
Well, yeah, and it's sad that Lambeau was my guy last week, and this week he does not have a great game, and then goes on IR too, which is great.
Yeah,
not good for your game ball of the weeks, Keith. But my game ball of the week nominee is Aaron Jones from the Green Bay Packers. That man absolutely destroyed this week. He helped everyone win fantasy weeks. I know that for a fact because I played against him and I had him on my lineup. So that's one thing. But Aaron Jones is an absolute freak. He went off for 168 yards rushing. He also had 68 yards receiving. He had a total of 3 touchdowns. That is absolutely insane to me. And the fact is that Devontae Adams left the game for the Packers, so that kind of helped Aaron Jones become a more useful weapon in the passing game. But Aaron Jones absolutely took off this past Sunday against the Detroit Lions. And
so would you say that fantasy football owners need to pick up Allen Lazard on waivers?
Possibly. But I think Allen Lazard should be in all fantasy leagues, in my opinion. But that's my opinion. So I wanted just to give Aaron Jones definitely a game ball because he definitely earned it. He earned every single yard. He had over 200 total yards, which I don't remember the last time a running back had over 200 total yards in terms of receiving and running, other than maybe Christian McCaffrey last year. But he only did that maybe.
Well, Leonard Fournette against Denver had like 236.
But that was not last year, was it?
Yeah, that was last year. It was Gardner's Denver.
He had 200 total yards. I don't remember that.
Just pull that up. I was pretty close to that. All right, it's got to be.
I'll pull that up, but I'll pull up while we go into the next topic.
Yeah, let's transition
into the Thursday night football game between the Miami Dolphins and the Jacksonville Jaguars. So when everyone listens to this, well, if everyone does listen to it Thursday, the game will be played later tonight. So, guys, I just want to let you have the floor for a few minutes. Talk about what you're looking for in this Thursday night football matchup. As you stated, Keith, Josh Lambeau is on IR. DJ Chark is questionable going into the game. We'll find out probably an hour before kickoff if he plays or not. Also, the Dolphins are down their number 2 corner in Byron Jones. He's out for the game on Thursday night. So, Skylar, Keith, whoever wants to start off, go ahead and go.
Keith, I'll let you take it.
Okay. Well, I also pulled up the stats for that Jaguars
Oh,
Broncos.
perfect.
Leonard
Okay.
Fournette, 29 carries, 225 yards. So
Damn. Okay, I stand
he
corrected.
did that all on the ground. He only had 20 receiving yards.
So it's been
So he had 246.
it's been a while since. Well,
or
actually, I think that's
245.
the exact number that Aaron Jones had. But anyway, it's been a while. It's been since early last year since that's happened. So it feels like it's been a while, but I guess not. But go ahead preview the Dolphins Jaguars for me, one of you guys.
Sure. All right. I guess I'll take that off. This is I hate to say the word must win, but I think it's a must win for this team in order to keep riding this momentum that this team is not bad. You still have the haters out there that still think we're not a great team. And Miami was supposed to make that jump this year. So far, they're not looking so good. I mean, they have a lot of weapons, but Ryan Fitzpatrick at the helm has not really impressed a lot of people, which honestly, for me, is to be expected. He's kind of just keeping the seat warm for Tua. But I really think that the Jaguars will jump out hot this game. I think they need to score early. I think they need to force turnovers, which I think we can pick off Fitzpatrick at least one or two times and just keep the ball in our hands as long as possible. I want to see more time of possession. Struggled with that the first game against the Colts. Improved against Tennessee, but I just want to keep the ball a lot. I don't know. I just feel like that's a good way to win the game. Minshew just keeps staying hot. James Robinson keeps running the ball well. I think we'll win this game.
Skyler?
Yeah, so I was talking with Mike pre-show about pretty much exactly that. Miami's only scored 16 combined points through the first three quarters of their two games, and then they kind of kick it on in the fourth quarter. So I think, the Jaguars will need their offense to start off hot, which I think that'll be just fine for them, especially with Dolphins announcing some missing pieces, Byron Jones, like you mentioned. And I think the offense will continue to roll, and it'll be exciting to watch. And I think that what I mentioned to Mike was that opens up the opportunity for the pass rush to kind of just fly at the quarterback. And I honestly think maybe that Tua gets put into the game just to switch things up, and I think that maybe that kind of makes it interesting. But I do think the Jaguars win this one, and I agree with you with the fact that you say must win, just because if you lose this one, it kind of just has the feel of like, oh, with this again, blah blah blah. But that's kind of the feel we've had the first 2 weeks. Indianapolis scored, and it's like,
Yeah.
We're here we go. But they're resilient, and then they go down 14-0 to Tennessee, and they come back to that. So I mean, despite it, I think they'll win, but even if they don't, but I'm not going to get into that because I think they win. The other thing I'm looking forward to is the all teal uniforms with the teal end zone.
Ooh, yeah. First
gonna
time,
be
right?
so nice.
Yes, first time ever that they
Yeah.
weren't all teal. That is correct.
The only thing I'm still wondering though, they haven't announced which socks because they do have all teal socks.
I think they're
going
going
to
to wear all teal everything, minus the helmet.
You think?
What would they do otherwise? White?
They can wear the black or white socks. Okay. Yeah, it's whatever the team agrees upon. So, like, the NFL used to have a uniform rule where you had to wear a white sock over your team color sock. So that way, it's kind of like a two-tone sock to an extent.
Right.
But now they've dismissed that. You don't have to have any white. Now we've seen, though, like, when the Jaguars wear white pants, that's why they wear solid white leggings. I think, I like that little trim on the back of the pant because it does look like stock a little bit, even when they do go a solid color. But, yeah, so they could wear any solid color as they want. But, yeah, it would be interesting. I think teal will be the color, too, but I'm just not sure. It would be interesting to see the socks because I feel like that ties it all together.
We'll see. But as for my thoughts on the Jaguars and Dolphins this upcoming Thursday night, I'll be at the game because I'm only going to the game because one of my college friends is coming into town for the weekend, and he's a Dolphins fan, and he's never been to a Dolphins game. So I was like, you know what? Might as well just go to the game. And, yeah, exactly. And it'll be fun. It'll be a fun time. But as for the actual game itself, I am a little concerned with our pass defense because Fitzpatrick did throw for over 300 yards last week, and we just saw Ryan Tannehill torch us. Now, I'm not saying that he's going to – Ryan Fitzpatrick's going to –
Will you look up when he – like the passing stats for like when he got going? Just because like how we mentioned they start slow. I'm intrigued to see, when did he accumulate most of these yards? Because, they
Ryan
were down
Fitzpatrick?
a lot, so they had the only one – yeah, because when they're playing Buffalo, they were down a lot, so they only had one option.
So, I mean, probably, but I'm just reading. It says that Fitzpatrick threw for 328 yards and 2 touchdowns. He put the Dolphins ahead in the fourth quarter before Josh Allen rallied the Bills against Miami's struggling defense. Now, I'm not saying that we're not going to do the same against the Dolphins, but I'm just a little concerned. I don't care. It's just the fact that Phillip Rivers has torched us for over 400 yards 2 weeks ago. Ryan Tannehill torched us for 40 touchdowns last week. Granted, he only threw for under 300 yards, but also they were kind of benefited with some short fields. So I'm not saying that I expect Fitzpatrick to go for 400 yards, but I'm just a little concerned because Fitzpatrick can still – he's still a good NFL quarterback. He's not anything special. He's an average quarterback, but our defense right now is still young. That is definitely a concern of mine. As for the offense, I do expect the offense to eventually not wait till the third or fourth possession to score. I think if they don't score in the first possession, they'll score in the second possession. So I don't expect the Jags to be waiting as long for points. Now, it could come as a result of a turnover by Fitzpatrick. That's another thing I'm looking forward to. See, will Fitzpatrick turn the ball over like he's been prone to do in the past? So that's one thing I'm looking for. I really want to see this new kicker that we signed, or we had on our practice squad earlier this year. I can't remember what his name was. Let me see. I'll pull it up. His name.
Before you start talking about that kicker, too, I would also like just to make one other point about Fitzpatrick and also our two prior opponents. So, you mentioned Phillip Rivers threw for 400 yards. I think it was expected that Phillip was going to come out slinging because that's his main skill set. And then with Tennessee, their game plan was to throw because they knew that we were going to be so heavy on the stopping Derrick Henry. So I'm not sure.
Miami has no running game. They have absolutely no running game.
Yeah, so their game plan. So their only game plan is to come out pass. So our game plan on defense will be to defend.
Yeah, but then there comes a point where then we attack one thing, but then maybe the running game goes off, and that's the thing. I want this defense to slowly evolve.
Well, you just said they don't have a run game. Well, who's their
and
running
what's
back?
his name? Jordan Howard, Matt Breida, and Myles Gaskin.
Oh, okay.
Those are the running backs.
Okay, so they got some decent guys,
but they don't have an offensive line. That's my concern too. I'm just saying, if we try to target one thing, I expect the other thing to happen. Where we try to shut down the pass, I can see them going off with the run because we've been prone to get blown out in the running game. Granted, this is a young defense too, so we'll see what the Jaguars do. We'll see what Todd Wash can do in terms of adjustments because I've still not seen any adjustments made by Todd Wash in the last 3 years he's been here. But that's just I don't like Todd Wash. I'm ready to get rid of him.
I agree with that. I also want to – you made me think of something else too with the defense, even though they focus on one thing, when they do focus on that one thing, they've been really great at that because, they held Derrick Henry to under 100 yards. And then I think the game plan against Indianapolis was stopping the run a little bit coming into week one. That's, our biggest flaw was stopping the run, but also have a bend but don't break type of mentality against Phillip Rivers, and they executed that game plan really well as well.
Yeah, and we'll see. I also don't want to go down 14-0 again because the Colts game was 3 yards.
That's impossible.
Don't say impossible with the Jaguars defense. I'm just saying it was 3 yards away from happening against the Colts on the goal line stand. Then it happened last week.
You're talking about Hall of Fame quarterback Phillip Rivers.
And Ryan Tannehill, my point exactly.
He's a play-action legend now, okay? Derrick Henry helped him become a play-action legend.
Also, the defense needs to stop the opponent on the first drive. I'm kind of getting tired of 3-play drive last week. That was bad.
I think we get the ball on offense first.
That's fine, but the defense needs to stop them after one drive. I don't want to.
If we win the toss, they go on offense first, and that's the end of the game.
I don't agree with that, but we'll see what happens Thursday night. But so now that we talked a little bit, by the way, let me mention.
Miami's going to be crushed so bad they're going to wish it was Friday morning.
They're going to be early Friday morning. But let me go ahead and bring up the kicker, Brandon Wright. He was on the practice squad throughout the training camp or quote unquote training camp.
Rocking Mike Hollis is number 1.
Yeah, I saw that.
Oh, interesting.
I saw that.
Didn't Matt Turk have that number too?
Yes,
as a punter?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I hate it. He was so bad.
Beefcakes.
Beefcakes. But anyway, speaking of beefcakes, I'm getting hungry. But I'm getting hungry. Beefcake. Food sounds good right now. Anyway, let's go to the predictions. Keith, what do you think happens tomorrow night or Thursday night against the Jaguars? I'm sorry, against the Dolphins.
I think we jump out to an early. Oh my goodness, English language, Keith. I think we jump out to an early lead. We don't look back. We keep the lead the entire game. We win. 30.
Do they score 50?
No. I'm going to say
42.
31-14.
31-14
Right.
Jaguars, according to Keith. Skyler.
Honestly, I think they want to amp up the crowd even more, and they go for 50 this week. I think they're trying
You're
to.
saying they're putting a 50 burger.
Yeah, I'm thinking they're running it down the throat. They're going to show the league what they're about on offense, and hopefully Chason and Allen get going, and and CJ Feast, and oh gosh, is it Jones? What's Jones' first name? The safety. It is Josh
Jones.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe it's Josh Jones.
I want to see him get a play. I'm rooting for him to make a big play, and on the defense because he's had a journey. And then Miles Jack, I think he'll get at least a fumble in this game.
So what's the score?
Yeah, we'll go. Gosh, I'm really fighting hard not to say like 69-12.
Oh my god, you're really gonna go there? 60 points.
No, I don't. I don't think they'll pass 60. They'll be humble enough to. We'll stop at 53 to We'll give Miami 20-24.
So just to make sure 27. It was breaking up a little bit, you're saying 53-24 Jaguars over the Dolphins.
We'll go 53-27.
53-27. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, let's do that.
I'm saying much lower scores. I'm saying 28-17 Jaguars. It'll be a very good game in terms of Gardner Minshew. I think Gardner Minshew will throw for 4 touchdowns and 400 yards. That's my prediction tomorrow.
He's my fantasy quarterback on the field and in real life and on the app. So
we need to get Keith into fantasy football for next year.
Nah.
Just have like a Dimes on Duval league at least.
Oh, for sure. Come on, Keith. You wouldn't be part of that?
Nah, that'd be all you guys. I would just ask you questions about it.
Keith, you can be the person in the league that makes a team and just has auto draft.
No, I don't want that owner. No, I don't want that manager in the league.
That makes it less fun.
There's always one person, and we can make that Keith.
Nah.
And
Keith,
then exclude anyone.
Nah, Keith, if he doesn't want it, that's fine. Anyway, go from fantasy football to something that could be a fantasy at the end of the year, college football. So, do you guys want to go into the Gators first, their season opener, or the Knowles against the Canes?
We haven't talked about the Gators at all, so we should probably...
Yeah, we'll start with the Gators then. So, the Gators start off their season with their ranking at number 5 in the AP poll.
Oh, nice.
At number 5.
Nice. I haven't really been paying attention that much, but I knew they were
they're ranked number 5 in the AP poll. They start their season on the road at Ole Miss.
Yeah.
At the Ole Miss Rebels.
I think this is...
So, Skyler.
I don't know how many years it's been, but it's been very many years since the Gators have played outside the swamp and also a conference opponent.
Well, I don't think it's happened. I don't think anyone's really played a conference opponent week 1 because COVID changed everything this year. But
I mean, I'm sure there's some times where there's already been some conference matchups. I feel strong about that, but it's definitely happened every game now. But this game, it's going to be exciting to see. Obviously, I think it was just going to be like the start of the NFL season. The team's going to be a little rusty. I'm excited to see how Kyle Trask does coming back and a full off season of preparation as a starter. He did really well coming in for Felipe Franks and then just took the job and ran with it. And it's even though he came out of nowhere, it's really not that crazy to say he could be a contender for the Heisman Trophy and then also potential first-round draft pick because he's got the build and he's got the smarts and he's got a very strong arm, very accurate and very quick release. So I think it's exciting to have a quarterback back in Gainesville that kind of, it's like similar to Jacksonville where, Gardner's kind of put us all at ease a little bit. Trask kind of puts me at ease with the quarterback position. And last year we had a lot of great receivers. I think Florida had the most receivers drafted this past draft. It showed with their production on the field that you could just get it to whoever really, and they would take off and do whatever they needed to. So it would be interesting to see which weapons he leans on this year. But I think we still have quite a few. But like I said, I haven't been paying too much attention. So who may. As expected. Hopefully there's just, college is such a momentum game. Hopefully Ole Miss doesn't get any free plays where they get into the end zone. The only thing is, like, since college is such a weird momentum and almost emotional game as opposed to NFL. It's like, as a Gator fan, since Ole Miss beat us in 2007, and I believe it was 2007 when that was like our only loss, and we still went on to win the national championship in football, where we went, like, that loss kind of makes me feel worried about playing Ole Miss forever. It's no different than when we lost to Auburn in like 06 when we had Chris Leak. I guess it was 08 when we lost to Ole Miss, and we lost our opportunity to go undefeated that season. But it's just stuff like that is funny about college football. You never know. But I think this is going to be fun to watch. I think the Gators come out on top, but upsets happen. But I still think it'll be a sharp crew. I think a little rusty maybe on the first 2 drives or so, but they get their groove going, and it's just the start of their SEC East run, and I think they're going to have a good season this year.
That's good. I think the Gators are going to do good as well this year. I just don't believe that they're going to win the SEC, and I don't think they're going to.
I said SEC East.
Okay, I still don't think they're winning the SEC East. I still think that's Georgia's until Florida comes and takes it. Granted, this year might be a little different because Georgia lost their quarterback, and they're trying to figure out their quarterback situation right now. So we'll see what happens. It'll be very interesting. But I do think the Gators are a little highly ranked, in my opinion. Number 5, granted, they do have their starting quarterback coming back, their head coach coming back, and something for this year in college football, as we've seen, continuity is kind of key. And the schools with new head coaches, new quarterback situations, have not really started off hot.
Well, I'm not trying to be like arrogant or anything, but what other 5 teams do you think are better than Florida at the moment?
Let me pull up the standings.
Okay.
Because Alabama, obviously, Clemson. I think Georgia. I'm not sure about Georgia because the quarterback thing is a little sketchy to me.
What do you think about LSU?
LSU. I am not a fan of LSU this year.
Yeah. So, and the thing with Georgia, they're going to be probably heavy on the run game, and they always have a great run game. They've all
Oklahoma is number 3. Let's see. I mean, granted, this year is a little different because the Big Ten and Pac-12 aren't playing. So, as of right now,
the biggest thing to take away from that is that preseason rankings are meaningless.
Garbage. Yes,
they are.
They're complete garbage.
So, if you want to listen to more about that,
is UCF the best team in Florida?
As of right now.
Okay. I mean,
but yeah, if you want to listen to more about what Keith, go ahead, Keith. What were you saying?
Yeah, I was going to say, listen, I'm not exactly sure which episode of it is, but the Sports Bar podcast featuring Scott Manzi and Alex Turco, they went in depth about that exact subject, and preseason rankings are just stupid. I mean, how all these teams are ranked that aren't even playing a season as of right now is just dumb. But whatever. It is what it is. We roll with it. Skylar, do you think they roll this game? Do you think they close?
We just lost Skylar for a minute. I'm going to ask him to hop back on. But in regards to if you want to ask me that, Keith, go ahead. I mean, I think that the Gators will definitely win this game. In terms of the score, I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think because, well, actually, I don't know because Lane Kiffin is starting his head coaching debut at Ole Miss. Welcome back, Skylar. Keith was asking you a question, but I took the question over. But he was asking, what do you think? Do you think the Gators are going to roll on Saturday, or do you think it'll be a close game? I think it's going to be a close game, but then I realized, wait, Lane Kiffin's making his debut as Ole Miss head coach. So I think it might be kind of at least a double-digit ball game. And we lost Skylar again. Anyways, I think that Lane Kiffin is going to be a good coach for Ole Miss. I just don't think it's going to happen this quickly. I think they do lose by double digits to the Gators on Saturday at 12 o'clock Eastern time. Keith, what do you think?
I think Florida probably wins. Yep. I think Florida runs away with it, honestly. I think maybe Ole Miss will hang in there in the beginning as they're knocking the rust off, and then Florida will wake up. Trask will get into a rhythm, and then just wake up that offense that we already know is quite good. And with Malik Davis and Jacob Copeland and Trevin Grimes, all those guys, they're going to win big.
Yeah, I think the Gators will win. Skylar, you there? All right, so you're good. So do you think the Gators win on Saturday? Do they roll? Do they win in a close game? What happens?
I think it'll be close. Like you mentioned, I briefly heard Lane Kiffin, and that does spark some excitement and on the Ole Miss side, I'm sure. So yeah, I think it'll be close for that matter. High scoring probably, but yeah,
It'll be
be fun to
interesting.
watch. I'm
Like I
excited to
said,
watch
it'll
some
be at 12
football.
p.m. Eastern Time on September 26th, 2020. Hopefully you're listening to it before that. But Skylar, just give me a quick thought on the Gators, just prediction on the season. What do you think is going to happen going forward for the Gators if, obviously, the college football season gets played in its entirety?
Yeah, so obviously, conference-only schedule is going to be interesting. I think it's going to make it a lot closer than people expect during the season. Obviously, what it really comes down to, in my opinion, is how we play Georgia, how we stop their run game. I think they always have a great run game, and that's always something they can kind of lean on. And their defense also is usually pretty good. However, whatever happens in that game really kind of determines our fate in terms of the SEC East, because usually that is the game that determines it. And I think they'll get it done this year. I think they're poised to win the SEC East, and then play whomever that comes out of the West. I think it'll probably be Alabama from the West at that point. Depending on the records, like it's not crazy to think that Alabama and Florida could both go to the playoffs after the SEC matchup, but I think obviously whoever wins that game will be like number 1 or number 2 seed coming out, because that's usually the case. It's the SEC champion is like one of that seed. Yeah, so I think they're going to be contenders. Whether they execute fully on the season will determine on health and such. But even in that case, I think they've just got so much talent on offense that they can probably do whatever they like in a lot of cases.
Okay, so just give me a quick thought. Do they make the college football playoff? Yes or no?
Okay. Yes.
Sounds good. So now, going from one Florida team to the other, Keith, our beloved Seminoles, they go against the Miami Hurricanes in a rivalry game this early in the season. What do you think will happen on Saturday? Now, again, Saturday will be the first time that we will not have Coach Norvell on the sidelines because he did test positive for COVID-19.
The first time, as if he's been coaching for years.
Yeah, well, it feels like it's been years. But anyway, the first time, and it probably again next week, we probably will not have Coach Norvell next week as well.
Right.
So what are your thoughts on the game? Do you think the Noles can keep it even remotely close against the Hurricanes?
We have not beaten the Miami Hurricanes since the Jimbo Fisher era. Or, excuse me, we have.
Okay. Wait, no, we didn't.
We have not.
We lost both years of Taggart, yeah.
Yikes.
2016, we beat them. They've won 3 in a row now.
Yeah, senior class is about to go winless. Senior class is about to go winless.
We're not going to win this game. We're going to probably lose by double digits easily. I would say probably triple. No, I'm just kidding. It's gonna be bad. It's not gonna be pretty. If they drop Blackman out there, which I expect they will, he will probably just continue to the despair of, oh, well, there's a glimmer of hope, and then he does something stupid again. Without Norvell there, it's going to be interesting to see the play calling and everything like that. I don't really know. I'm not really optimistic. I'm not excited for this game. I just ready for Jacksonville State.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I do think Miami is going to win by double digits, like you said. But I do think Miami is going to start off slow. I don't know why I have a feeling they're going to start off slow. But I think the matchup to watch, if somehow Florida State's defensive line can get after De'Ara King, the Miami quarterback, the transfer from Houston, I do think we have a shot. If we can get pressure. Now, we didn't do jack squat against Georgia Tech 2 weeks ago. We barely got any pressure. Now is our best strength. I'm sorry, that was the biggest strength we have is the defensive line. And if we can manage to get pressure on De'Ara King, make his life a little miserable in the pocket and force him to make bad throws, I think we have a shot. But if we don't do that, it's going to be a long night down in Coral Gables, down south of Miami. And I think Miami is going to go ahead and get the senior class 4 straight wins against the Seminoles. So I don't think it's going to be – I think they're going to start off slow. But I think the only way Florida State wins is if they get after De'Aaron King and cause him to make some bad decisions and bad throws and get short fields, because there's no way James Blackman is leading a team 80 yards down the field for a touchdown drive. No chance.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yep. But so as one bright spot for the Gators this year, it's a low spot for the Noles. Any thoughts, guys, on anything this weekend? I got one more segment I want to introduce. What is a game to watch for the weekend? Non-Jags related, non-Noles related, non-Gators related. I don't know if you guys have even looked at the schedule, but I just wanted to see.
Well, you go ahead with yours first, then.
All right, the game I'm interested the most in is honestly the Tampa Bay Broncos. No, I'm sorry, not Tampa Bay. They're playing Denver. I apologize, not Tampa Bay, Denver. I was reading it.
You want the Blake
I was
Bortles
reading it
Brady
as Tampa Bay at Arizona. I apologize. I want to watch the Green Bay at New Orleans game. That game is going to be great on Sunday Night Football. Now, I wish Michael Thomas was playing on Sunday night, but I doubt he'll be playing. I know you don't because you're the Packers fan. But you got to also worry about your number one receiver, Devontae Adams. So we'll see if he plays. So if they both are out with their number one receiver, it could be somewhat even matchup again. But that game is going to be a very high-scoring game. I think that's the second best game of the week, but that could be the third best game of the week. I may pick the worst one out of the three. But I think that's going to be a really good game, and that could potentially decide home field advantage down the rest of the season, or it comes to the playoffs later on.
Fair. I guess I'll go with I'm gonna go with Texas at Texas Tech at 3:30 on Fox on Saturday. Only looking at that because Texas has been such it's so hyped up, but then they end up not playing well. I think this is a big statement game for them. If they can just go in and beat Texas Tech in Lubbock, that would be a big win for this team. I love to see Texas Tech lose just because I like Texas. I don't know. I've always kind of had a little soft spot for them.
It's funny. I'm actually the exact
That's
opposite with you, Keith. I actually like Texas Tech more than Texas. I'll never forget Justin Blackman went to Oklahoma State.
Crabtree.
My bad.
The Crabtree catch down the sideline in that massive game. I'll never forget that. That was a great game. But go ahead, Keith. Sorry to take that from you.
No, that's all I really had. I don't know. Skylar, you got a game?
No, I don't. I haven't looked at the schedule. I would just go with any AFC South matchup. I think I'm just gonna be paying attention to whoever Tennessee, Indianapolis.
So I can tell you right now, Houston plays at Pittsburgh. The Jets play at the Colts, and the Titans play. Where do the Titans play?
Well, count one win for the.
I don't even see Tennessee on here. Tennessee's at Minnesota,
and to count another for Tennessee. So. One thing that I thought I also noticed that was interesting is San Francisco is playing at New York Giants this week. They actually played at New York Jets. Yeah, so within the first 3 weeks, they played one game in San Francisco and two in New
Jersey.
So,
but yeah.
Yeah, good, valid point. Yeah,
and the Niners are about to play on the same field where they lost multiple players to season-ending injuries. So that's going to be.
They changed the turf. It's blue.
Okay, that's just paint. That's not actual turf change, but that's very concerning for San Francisco this week.
No. See, the thing is, they can't paint it that quick, so they have a Giants one. And they
my gosh, I don't think they're going to get in the end zone that often.
Watch the turf replacement. They might. Yeah, that's probably just the end zone, but still.
Anyways, I was thinking I was going to pick the Chiefs-Ravens game on Monday Night Football, but everyone knows that's the game of the week. Plus the game of the year. But we'll see. But anyways, any other thoughts, guys? I know, Skylar, you wanted to touch on the U.S. Open that happened this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it happened. Bryson DeChambeau won, and a lot of people probably are shocked, I guess, in a sense. But, yeah. It shows like the evolution of where golf's going, and you just beef up and drive it long and get closer to the hole. Usually it helps. So he gained 40 pounds in the off season, and he drinks about 7 protein shakes a day. He plays with 48-inch driver, I believe, which is most players play with like a 45.5, and extra length on your club gets you extra speed. So he's just experimenting with everything he can just to maximize his game to the fullest, and it's interesting to watch. But he pretty much dominated with that mentality through it. He's got a couple other wins prior to this, so like it kind of was expected with how he was playing, other than like Dustin Johnson was playing well. But U.S. Open is just a different game. But the way he handled it was pretty well.
Awesome.
Pretty good.
Awesome.
So.
Keith, any last second thoughts?
I just wanted to say that while we've been recording, I've been watching the Stanley Cup final as Tampa Bay is up 5-1 right now on Dallas in the third period. The series is tied at 1. I will say it once, I'll say it a million times, that playoff hockey is the best playoff of any sport out there. It's so entertaining. The difference between the top seed and the lowest seed is non-existent. It is what it is. And plus you get to see guys fight, you know?
So, question. So, what are the seeds for each of those teams?
Oh, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
Oh, gotcha. I thought it would show up on the screen like it does sometimes in basketball or
Nah, since it's the final, it kind of just like they haven't done that anymore.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, other than Skylar's thoughts on U.S. Open and Keith's thoughts on the Stanley Cup final, I got nothing else to touch on. Skylar, do you have
nothing about NBA? You don't think Miami's going to win? Miami, Boston. LA,
Denver, if they win again. Either way, Denver's going to go. They're both going 7, in my opinion. So, they're both going 7.
I hope so.
I would love that because I want to see more NBA. But I also kind of want NBA to be over with so I can focus on football. I don't know. Split.
Exactly.
But, Skylar, one last thing. What's the Coastal Indoor update? Anything news going on? Just give me like a quick 30 seconds, 45 seconds.
We were great. We were busy during that nor'easter, so if it starts raining like that again, just head on down.
Sounds good.
Indoor golf, no weather.
We fill up quick. Yeah.
Yep. Indoor golf, no weather, and you get to hit it ball as hard as you can without really worrying about the screen. But aim for the screen. Don't aim at someone else like I almost did. For Skylar Chase, for Keith Manzi, I am Mike Gosby. And thank you, everyone, for listening to another episode of Dimes on Duval. We'll see you guys next time.